everybody. Thank you very much. If you haven't been in one of my classes presentations before, I am Bob. I work at the main library downtown Fort Lauderdale. My official title is Coordinator of Digital Initiatives, but I like to say that I get to live in the future. I get to do some really cool stuff. And just in case you didn't understand, you live in the future. Anybody here under 15? Anyone alive today who is 15 years old or less has never lived in a time when they did not have people living in space. 15 years. By almost anyone's definition, that's living in the future. So we're just going to help everybody catch up and do stuff. Today's class, all about virtual reality, this is really future stuff. I mean, this is what really makes you feel like you're now experiencing it and doing it. We did a 3D printing class here before. You always come down and talk to me and do these things. We do a lot of these kinds of classes, and I can go do these anywhere and everywhere for you. What we're going to talk about today is what virtual reality really is. We're going to cover definitions and stuff like that at the beginning. Promise it's not too boring. And then we'll talk about what's actually available, what people are doing, how it works, stuff like that. And then afterwards, the second half is planned just for you to put on. I've got an Oculus headset here. I've got Google Cardboard. We'll talk about all the differences in those. And I am here for you just to come up and practice and experience it again and again and again until everybody gets a chance to see what we're talking about. And we will start off with figuring out what is reality anyway. Any philosophers in the room? No? Okay. So, what we really have, we have reality that we're all used to. You have mediated reality and mixed reality. Those have been around since the 60s or earlier. I've got examples of a guy walking around with a headset on back in the 70s. Crazy stuff. But these are things you see in your everyday life that people tend to say, oh, that's virtual reality, and it's not. And we'll get to the real reasons on why that's not. 360 video, which I will show you some here on a headset, which you will feel like is virtual reality. It's not. It's actually just 360 video. Virtual reality entails something really different, and we are not quite there yet when you start talking about it. Now, the media tells you we're there. The media says, oh, we're doing all this stuff. Oculus Rift, the company's selling this. Oh, I'm selling you virtual reality. It's kind of maybe sort of that way, but not yet. Immersive reality is what really you are talking about when you throw around the term virtual reality in most cases. And we are not there yet. No one's perfected this yet, but we're really close. And augmented reality is the hardest, most closest thing to magic that we can get to. And that's why they called the company Magic Leap. Out of Dania Beach, we'll talk about them too. And why this is one of those things that it really feels like the future and why and what works. So, mediated and mixed reality. What actually, it's kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit of, well, I'm not sure what. So what it is you have a virtual environment over here. This is the far science fiction, the computer, we're living in the Matrix sort of thing. That and there is the real world. If somebody can figure that out for me by the end of class, it would be great. And in between, you've got augmented, virtual, semi-something kind of things. And I know that doesn't really sound great, and it doesn't have a really good information for you. What it means, if you have mediated or mixed reality, you have some sort of reality that you're in, and you're mixing into that some pre-programmed, computer-generated information. Has anyone seen the bus stop ad that Pepsi put out? I didn't think so. So well, I'm going to show it to you. And the trick here is I have to exit my slideshow to bring up that show. And here we go. No. Okay, hold on. Nope. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is reality. Okay, is that show? Why is that not stuck? Why is that not dropping? Okay. There we go.
You want to get in after Zoom mode again.
Yep.
Just reboot it.
Now I'm there. Thank you very much.
I'm telling you, this is how it works, man. There's a little camera right here.
Okay, so what that is mixed reality. You're going to bring up our slideshow just back to where we're supposed to be. Come on. And it always starts at the beginning. Okay, that's too bad. Okay, oh, I'm going to go back. I'm not going to start the video from here. But so you understand what happens. You've got essentially a large monitor there, and you've got a camera on the other side that's filming what's really happening down there and overlaying that directly on to that computer screen there. And then you go in and add your animations, your other films, stuff like that. When you're standing on this side, it's mixed reality. You've got reality and computer stuff at the same time. Yeah.
How does this fit into Captain Kirk's holodeck?
Holodeck. We're gonna get the Holodeck. Don't worry. I've got it. Don't worry. We're gonna get there. What you've actually gonna see later on this morning, still morning, sure, is 360 video. What they do is instead of using one video camera to capture something, you need a bare minimum of 3 cameras filming in what's called parallax mode, which your iPhone can do. You can take 3 little iPhones or 3 of your smartphones, connect them into a little thing, set the mode right, and you can do rough, basic 360 video. Panoramic view. What happens is that's not really quite 360 because you're only getting the direct line of your cameras around, but it is 360. What's actually you're not getting is the pi r squared video, which no one's going to use as a term. They're all just going to use 360 as a term. 360 is becoming known as just spherical video. So you can do it with any kind of virtual reality experience if all you want to do is sit there and have immersive video around you. There is actually the ability to do this now. If you haven't seen it, go hit YouTube and go to YouTube 360. There's a whole set of channels now that you can do this on your computer, your regular monitor, without having to go get a headset, without having to do any of the extra anythings. You can sit there, pan around with your phone, pan around with a mouse, everything like that, to see what is available to you. Lots of people are out there shooting. Please sit down, because not everybody is the steadiest with their cameras, and the experience can, if you have any bit of vertigo, any bit of uncertainty if I'm standing up straight, sit down first when you're watching these rather than watching them standing up. Most of us are sitting at our computers anyway. I just happen to have a standing desk. You can get this perspective and do this sort of thing. When you add in a headset, now you start to becoming what people are calling virtual reality. Virtual reality is officially a fully computerized, fully generated, immersive environment that you can interact with. Either interact by, you are doing the interaction, or it is interacting with you. You should be immersed in that world, which means it is more than just video. It should also include sound. It should include other things like that. Most people don't think about those when they're talking about it, and most people aren't including that as part of their virtual reality experience yet. But you should have a full surround sound experience if you are in virtual reality, because you should be able to hear me if you're in that corner or over here. And just like you've got your surround sound at home or in the theater, when the train goes by behind you, you should just hear it and then use those audio cues to go look to see what's going on. Virtual reality also should give you the ability to manipulate objects. 360 video does not. It's totally up to you to be able, and you're going to see it later on. I've got a desk set, I've got a plant, I've got a stack of cards. I don't have a controller that you can reach out and knock over those cards with. So it's really a 360 video, even though it is virtual reality. And the reason it's that way is because I don't have the controller. You could do it in some of these. As I mentioned, sound is expected to be here, but it's not always included. For an immersive reality, you have to be able to interact with it. And this is the true virtual reality that you think about in science fiction movies and such like that. This is virtual reality, but they've degraded the word down, so the proper term is immersive reality. 360 sound is a requirement because you cannot be immersed if you can't hear everything going around you, all over and all around you. Your other senses start to really become important, and we're talking haptic feedback. You're familiar with this already on your phone. You've got a text message, it buzzes. That's haptic feedback. When you touch the screen and the screen gives that slight bit of buzz as you're typing on the keyboard, that is haptic feedback. How do you do that if I've got a headset on and my hands just waving around? You probably have to be wearing gloves of some sort, or you have to be wearing something so that you feel it in your fingers when you grab that virtual object. Or maybe not. We're getting into some pretty crazy stuff happening. I'll talk about that in just a second. Interactivity is in control of the user and not the designer. You as the person using the equipment get to choose what you want to do. I want to pick up that plant, I want to knock it over, I want to pull it out by the roots. You get to do that. In virtual reality, the designer has set up things like traditional video games. You get to do these objects, you get to do these actions. Immersive is on you. You get to choose what the heck happens. And the world has to be entirely completed, which is why this doesn't really exist yet. Because you have to have such a small, tiny, controlled space and world for this to actually work. It's not worth it. You have tremendous amounts of computing power and everything just to create a room half this size that you can manipulate and walk around and do. But it is expanding. Augmented reality, on the other hand, is already here. It's the hardest to accomplish properly, but we've actually been doing parts of this as we've grown out of that mixed reality, mediated reality, and start moving into things. Augmented reality works. There's a couple of examples I can show you on my phone after here. WordLens is fully functioning augmented reality. You can write any language down that you want. I scan it with my phone. It doesn't scan it, think about it, and do it. It is live translation instantaneously. When I was in Vietnam, when I was in Thailand, it freaked my guides out. That I could just go click, and I'm like, oh, you mean this? And they're like, huh? Because you can just translate any kind of words, anything live right there, and you watch it transform in front of your eyes. The other fun one, somebody may be into furniture, I'm not. You go download the IKEA app. You scan your room, And now it can put the couch from IKEA, the chair, the whatever, right there into your phone. You will see it on the screen live of where it is. If you want to get a good idea about it, go to YouTube, search IKEA app furniture, and you will see videos of people doing this. They've got an amazing commercial with everybody just playing around and doing stuff with it. It's a lot of fun. It's the promise of Google Glass. Probably you guys all heard about Google Glass a couple years ago. And you probably thought, oh, it's dead. No, they just stopped letting everyday common people have them who are going to go out and make stupid videos and get in trouble in bars and stuff. So they took it away from people, and it is used by the military. It's used by enterprise stuff for all sorts of various solutions and doing things. It works great. HoloLens and Magic Leap. Magic Leap is an amazing company. I'm going to show that one in a minute next, that nobody knows about. They're worth $1 billion. They're out of Dania Beach. They have Google and everyone investing in them, and the people, the handful of like 6 people in the world who have seen their technology that don't work at the company, all walk away blown away by it. It's magic. We don't know yet. It seriously is magic. I'll talk about the suspicions about it when we get to their headset, but it makes things just crazy. HoloLens is Microsoft's attempt to do this. HoloLens is Microsoft's virtual reality / augmented reality helmet headset that is different than Oculus in one key thing: it does not have wires. You're able to walk around this room and do whatever you want. There are a couple of other headset people who are doing that also. How they do that is that headset tracks the real world around you with cameras and runs the computer simulation on top of it. So your holodeck idea. What you do is you take this room, take the tables and chairs out of it, just be safe because you don't want to trip over everything, and it knows I'm about to walk up to this wall, and it will physically change what I'm seeing so that I naturally start moving to my left to avoid the wall and keep on moving. You could just do laps and laps in a room like this, and you would never know you hadn't walked a straight line down the forest. We're this close to holodecks. In fact, I know through people in social media, 2 people who have already set them up in their houses because they know it's coming. And I don't mean this is coming in the next 10 years, we'll have this perfected. We're talking 6 to 18 months that they think this is going to be perfected enough, it's worthwhile to do. I am committed enough to it that I'm already exploring what library I can install one of those rooms in. Because if I can find a quiet study room in some library, there's enough room to walk around in, and we clear the room out of everything, and now I can install some machinery there, and everyone can walk in and participate and do it. If I can convince the county to pay for it, you know it's close. Because the county don't buy nothing. So, I'm going to jump out of the presentation and go back. This is a 30-second quickie thing. Come on, end slideshow. Give me back my presentation. Thank you very much. And back to here. Thank you very much. This is awesome, great, beautiful screen. Thank you very much. This is Magic Leap.
Yes, I've seen this.
Go. I know, it's insane.
Really?
Now, let's talk about this. Now, let's get that hat off.
Kidding me.
They've been very good about protecting their videos. I couldn't just download this video. I had to actually just use it from their site. So, notice 2 things. One, I said Magic Leap requires a helmet to wear. None of these kids are wearing helmets. How in the world are they doing this? There's two possible answers. One is it's going to require a room for you to be in that's all tricked out to be able to make this happen. so that you don't need everything. You're talking projectors and stuff like that. 99% positive that's not what's really going on. What I think is, they did this as Photoshop stuff to show their technology, and how this technology works is you have to wear glasses. Those glasses have dual lasers beaming the image directly onto your retina. That's a crazy thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many people want to say, oh, I want to wear a laser in my eye? But would you do it for this? Because notice what happens. It understands that the gym floor is the level surface, and all the waves react just like if they were bouncing off of that level surface, and they fade away. The whale comes up and goes down perfectly just like if that was your level thing going. And it doesn't have to be a whale, it can be anything. You need this to be your airplane that you're doing inspections on, that you're training on, that you're doing anything. Everything, anywhere you want can be there. Including the NBA playing in your own high school gym, because you don't need to go to any arenas anymore. They can be playing in your living room.
Could you play that again, please?
Yeah.
Of course.
I can't believe it.
Put it on
It's so perfect.
endless loop.
You asked that on purpose?
That's a real catch.
It's insane, isn't it? So, let's scroll down here, start the presentation at the proper spot.
I may be joining the club as a hologram next time.
We're almost there. Okay, so
Wow.
how that Magic Leap stuff is gonna happen, and okay, you just saw 9 seconds. This is why Google gave them $500 million. Because, and this is a group of like 12 or 20 people down at Dania Beach sitting in a warehouse working. If I can get these guys to let me have a set just for an hour to show off. They're a pretty secretive company right now. They think they've got the special stuff that's gonna really shake everybody up. If you go look for Magic Leap videos, there's a handful of them out there. There's a little elephant that's sitting in your hand. There's some craziness stuff out there. We're not quite sure yet exactly how they're going to pull off this technology. So let's get to what this is. When you were talking about this gear and all these things, I've already started mentioning, you've got a display of some sort. A monitor on your computer works just fine. YouTube 360, boom, you're in it. Now you can start experiencing and trying this stuff out. Handheld phone, putting it on your Google Cardboard. We're going to talk about Google Cardboard and what that is. I hope you guys have all seen these. If not, I've got one here you can drop a phone into and work. And here, virtual reality for 10 bucks. You already bought your phone, you already bought everything else. Now you have this, 10 bucks and you're going. New York Times gave them away for free. Gave away 1 million of these a short time ago. Part of the problem is when you put your phone in there. Power drain. How fast do you think running your phone during the regular time of talking and doing things, now you're going to be running full high-def video straight on. People's batteries will wear out in a half hour sometimes. Not a great experience. Overheating. Because your phone's not used to running that fast, that hot. If you've got an older model phone, especially some of the iPhones, they overheat pretty quickly. And it totally depends on the quality of your screen, of your phone, on the quality of your experience. Making sure you understand what we're talking about. Your phone is going to be sitting here. Yes, I can see that video and I can read and see this kind of stuff here really well. What's the quality like now? How pixelated is it going to be when you bring it right up 2 inches away from your eyeball? Optical projection is the other possibility. I mentioned it during that Magic Leap thing. If I set up projectors all in this room and go down, we have the traditional Star Wars hologram, Obi-Wan, save me please. They look cool. They've used them in the Grammys. They've done some stuff like that with them. Are they interactive? Are they pre-programmed? Do you want to be able to walk up to them and just pass your hand through Michael Jackson? I don't know. And your lack of controls. When you are on that display, your phone's there. Well, if your phone's up here on your face, how are you going to use the phone to manipulate and move things and do things? You're basically, it's a very passive experience. What you can do is grab a Leap Motion, plug it into your headset or whatever, and use this. You can try these out now. You can come check one out from the library and try it out. You can buy one, they're $50 on Amazon or so. They might even be cheaper now. They've been out for a couple of years. People were kind of like, why do I want one of these things when all I can do is manipulate a few things on my computer screen and do this? We've got Leap Motion stations that might change your mind on that, and people get really into it, doing virtual pottery and things. This company just said, oh, hey, wait a minute. Virtual reality headsets need a controller. Mount this on your controller. Instead of it viewing up at your hands and seeing what's in front, you mount it here and it sees everything in front of you. You get ghost hands you can manipulate things with and do stuff and make it happen. Already works with the Oculus if you wanted it to. Other headsets have already started saying, oh, wait a minute, we can take their technology, buy it, reduce it to a little mini chip that fits on the front of a set of glasses, and now you've got a way of manipulating things. They were a solution to a problem that didn't exist, and now that that problem's here, they're poised to really be big. Buggy, semi-working software a lot of times still, but it's possible. We're going to get there. HUDs. Everybody knows what a HUD is. We've all seen some kind of military movie. Heads-up displays, thank you very much. Used in the Air Force back in the 60s and 70s. Used in some fancy automobiles. Some people will tell you, this is the way of virtual reality. This is the way of augmented reality. No. Because that, again, requires that projector, that requires something somewhere to show. And those heads-up displays didn't give you real augmented reality. They showed you your speed that you were going. Well, I want to know what's coming down the road. I want to know what's coming up. Yes, I could have in your fancy Mercedes-Benz heads-up display thing, it'll show your path that you're driving on your GPS. But I want to know what restaurant's coming up ahead and what's going on with this restaurant that I'm passing right now. Give me the information. That's true augmented reality. You can't get that on a heads-up display. But it is mediated reality. So we're overlaying some information on reality, like you saw with the bus bench. We've got our driving directions, our speed, our anything like that showing up there. You can do text messages and emails and have it all displaying in front of you as you're driving. And who doesn't think it's a great idea to watch a TV show while I'm driving? Self-driving cars are coming, and they can't come too soon. So we get the head-mounted displays. Head-mounted displays are this. Any kind of visor. We've got the big heavy one. I will pick this up and show you just to make sure everybody knows. I keep pointing at. Here is an Oculus Rift headband. We're going to talk. You're going to put this on and try it out here in a little bit. This is a visor. This has got everything in it that you need. You just drop your phone in here and boom, you've got virtual reality running around and going and doing. 25 million of these are out in the wild, in theory. Now, how many people here get the New York Times and got one of these for free? They gave out 1 million of these for free earlier this year.
I got them from Verizon stores.
So if they're giving out 1 million of them, how many of those ended up in the trash? How many people got one or two of them, tossed them to the side, and have never used them again? Everyone that I show them to, they're like, oh, this is great, this is amazing. And then I walk them over to an Oculus and they're like, oh, and they toss it away. $10, $600. You get what you pay for. Oculus is an amazing thing. Everybody probably has heard about Oculus because they are the big player in the world right now for virtual reality. They are essentially owned by Facebook. By Facebook. That's why they have the money to do whatever they want. Instagram is owned by Facebook, by the way.
Mhm.
So they own lots of companies and they let them do what they're going to do. They've become very Google-like in that way. Oculus is going to run this, and the reason why is because they got there first. They are not necessarily the best. Other people might come out with something better, magically. We don't know. But Oculus is here live. You can feel it and taste it and see it right now. Please don't taste my headset. You can use this now. You could order one right now and have it shipped to you, and it would appear this summer in your own use. Galaxy Gear, you can go buy right now. Plug your Galaxy phone in, which means you need the newest phones, a Note 5, a Galaxy 6. And you just snap your phone in there, and it's a nice hard version of cardboard. Or you go out and get something like this. Merge, this is a good solid plastic rubber headset. Instead of cardboard, you've got this. You've spent $75 on this and it does everything that the cardboard does. And it holds any phone. You're not restricted to only a Galaxy Gear, only your Galaxy phone. Microsoft HoloLens. Now we're talking things that don't require wires, don't require your phone. You can use anything that you want. It's a helmet that you put on. It's a bigger, fancier version. You're free. You can walk and go anywhere and have all this stuff overlaid on your reality. And you can do all this work at the office, and you can walk down the street and see everything and do all this stuff. And they've got amazing videos that show this off. And then when you hit the 4.5 to 5.5 hour mark, bam, you're dead because the battery ran out. Yes, it's great to watch a movie, to play a video game, and then go recharge it. If this is going to be augmented reality, it's got to stay with me all day long. And I don't feel like carrying a wagon of batteries around with me either. So this is our limitation. As soon as you take the wires away, you're limited to batteries. Everybody remembers what cell phone batteries were like. They're going to get better. Tesla's got some amazing ideas. Eyeglasses. Eyeglasses are probably what we're all going to end up with. HoloLens as the first level, and HoloLens 3.5 or whatever will go down to eyeglass thing. I mentioned it before, Google Glass. Everybody saw it in the news, read about it. Nobody probably knew anyone with one, but you knew about them because the jerks on wherever were acting up and doing and whatever, and they did not explain it properly. The big thing about Google Glass was, oh, they're secretly recording me. No, they're not. Because, again, batteries. If you start recording, your Google Glass goes dead in about 10 minutes. Cheap. Which is why it didn't really take off until you have people using those. Magic Leap. I already told you that this is probably how Magic Leap works. It's a fancy set of glasses with the little projectors right here beaming right into your eyeball that shows you everything going on. Yeah.
You know, we're an older population.
Yep.
And many of us have had macular degeneration and
Yep.
conditions. Well, what happens if you have only one eye that's really functioning?
You get the same, in theory, it gives you the exact same experience that you normally have. What should be happening though, is it should restore back to a full thing. And that's why Magic Leap's kind of really interesting. Because if they're beaming this directly into your retina, then all you need is a retina nerve that works, and you can see everything out of that eye again. So if the issue is your corneas, if the issue was your eyeball itself, all that goes away. If it's a retinal nerve issue, they won't be able to do it, but heck, we can reprint those pretty soon. Yeah.
That's the lieutenant on Star Trek.
Yep, the little Geordi visor going on, and it shows you everything that's going on around you and all the computer information at the same time. Full augmented reality. And it's here maybe 15 miles down the road. It's exciting times. Contact lenses. And I know you're like, okay, Bob, yeah, now you're talking 5-10 years down the road. Google's got them already in testing mode so that you can drop them in and it will test your diabetes and do all those things for you live, because the sensors are built into your eyeball now as part of a contact lens. I know it sounds insane. It sounds crazier than beaming lasers in, but this one's happening right now. They're already in testing to have Google Glass put in as contact lenses. Yeah, we live in the future, guys. So, in reality, who is really doing what? The military is doing HUDs and such like that, along with this fancy version of Google Glass. You can see, people can get this, put it right there, they can get overlays sent to them and do it. It requires you to wear a battery pack on your back to be able to do this. You have to carry the computer, you have to carry the battery pack. This is why military people are doing it, and the rest of us are not. I gave that life up a long time ago. I don't need to be carrying that anymore. If I'm gonna go camping again, I'm taking some much different stuff. But it works. You've got Google Cardboard. Google Cardboard is the generic term that everyone's starting to use for any kind of cheap or realistic display that uses something else to power it. Whether you're talking the Merge, which drops your phone in, whether you're talking ViewMaster. We all had ViewMasters before. They're back. Now they work on your phone. You buy a ViewMaster set and you plug your phone into it and it works just like that. And people are snapping them up just because of the name. And they're able to sell you things, and it only works with specific phones so they can control that thing, and they learn from Apple about making sure who can have access to what. The Galaxy Gear I mentioned earlier that only works with that. The Valve is something, if you're into video games, you already use Valve, Steam, to access it. The Valve is part of getting that content onto your phone and getting it into a headset instead of your PC, instead of your computer. Do you need to remember all of these things? No. What you need to know is that it's available, it's coming, it is not something that is in the future. This is now and happening. This is why everybody is talking about these 4 companies. You probably haven't heard of one of those. Oculus. You're going to try an Oculus, you're going to get wowed by it, you're going to want to go out and buy it. And I'm telling you right now, you can go order one right now for $600, and you're like, that's a deal, I'm taking it. You don't own a computer that can run that. You see the machine I've got this running on right now. Multiple high-powered graphics cards are required. Minimum level of computer to run an Oculus is probably going to cost you around $1,200 to $1,500. This is not running on your laptop. This is not running on your Chromebook. This is something that you need a real PC for. You ask Barry, it took me 45 minutes to get it all set up and tweaked and running again. This is not something that's portable and moving around yet. However, you can go buy a bundle. Costs you around $2,000 total. You'll get all the controllers, you'll get all the headset, you'll get the PC, everything, and it'll be delivered sometime later this summer because they're not out yet. The people like me who are really crazed about it and went and bought it in the first few days bought out all of their stock through July. So this is a Christmas thing if you want to do it. You really want to keep those grandkids quiet for a long time, go buy one of these. And HoloLens. We do not know anything really about HoloLens yet, but next month they're supposed to ship their developer's kit, which is what this is for Oculus. $3,000 for the developer's kit. 2 bits of speculation on it. 1, the technology is really that cool and expensive that they need to raise that price. Or 2, Microsoft knows their name's at stake here. They don't want the average person going out and buying it like what happened to Google Glass and having jerks walk around and the name gets out there that, oh, HoloLens is a stupid thing. HoloLens isn't worth the money. So they make it a high price. If you're going to get this, you know what you're walking into. You know you're walking into developing and programming and doing all this. It is not the casual user stuff yet. Suspicion is that is the big Christmas push is going to be HoloLens versus Oculus. And nobody really knows pricing on HoloLens yet, but Oculus has set the bar, $600 plus a computer. HoloLens doesn't need a computer. There's no wires. It just runs. Does that mean you can buy a HoloLens for $2,000? They're equivalent. Buying all the stuff for Oculus, buying all the stuff for HoloLens, $2,000 each. When you see the ad, Oculus $600, HoloLens $2,000, who wins? It's going to be interesting this fall, guys. Magic Leap, not coming out this year. I don't care what rumor you hear. This is not going to happen. That is too crazy, cool, fun for this to really happen. But they're close. They're close enough that they have $1 billion right now in valuation. Little company Dana, $1 billion doing virtual reality. South Florida's getting there. Meta, I haven't mentioned their name. You've probably never heard of them. They are a company that is releasing virtual reality stuff in dribs and drabs. Their headset you could have right now if you wanted to. I've heard that it's a pretty wonky thing and it weighs over 5 pounds. Yeah, who's walking around 5 pounds on their head? The reason I mention them and the reason they're a really interesting company, up to this point, anything you wanted to put into your virtual reality, you had to program. You have to learn how to use Maya. You have to learn how to use Unity. You have to learn how to use all sorts of stuff like that. The problem with that is, any of you know how to program in Unity? Yeah. So I don't plan on hiring a lot of people to program in Unity for me either. Meta, I've seen their stuff. They have little toolboxes. I want to build a room, wall, table, chair, boom, I'm done. Plug and play virtual reality. It's gonna be fun to see what people can do with it. They're not ready for prime time yet, but they're getting really close. I've attended a couple of their demonstrations. So, I kept it to 40 minutes
Hey,
instead
let's
of
thank
20.
Bob for a great presentation.